Have you ever thought about what goes on behind the scenes of a flight before you even step on board? Beyond the obvious, the pilots, the cabin crew, the luggage handlers, there's a whole world of logistics ensuring that everything arrives safely and securely. And a surprisingly large part of that is making sure that certain items, things that could be dangerous, are transported in the right way. That's what we call dangerous goods regulations, or DGR. These regulations are the bedrock of safety when it comes to shipping anything that could pose a risk in the air. We're talking about everything from flammable liquids and corrosive materials to explosives and radioactive substances. Obviously, you don't want any of these things causing problems at 30,000 feet. That's where the International Air Transport Association, IATA, and the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, come in. They set the standards and guidelines that make up the DGR framework, ensuring a globally harmonized approach to safely transporting dangerous goods by air. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the world of DGR. We'll explore why it's so important, how it works, and what it means for everyone involved in the aviation industry, from the people packing the cargo to the passengers on board. Right, let's start with the basics. DGR, as we've established, stands for Dangerous Goods Regulations. These regulations exist to make sure that items that could be hazardous during a flight are handled, packaged, and transported with the utmost care and attention. Think of it like a globally agreed-upon rulebook for anything that might explode, ignite, corrode, or otherwise cause chaos on an aircraft. Chemicals for medical purposes, scientific equipment, even certain types of electronics. These things can fall under the category of dangerous goods, but they're also things that we need to transport. The key is to do it safely. That's where IATA and ICAO come in. These organizations work tirelessly to develop and maintain the DGR framework. The idea of regulating what we transport by air isn't new. Early attempts at DGR can be traced back to the early 20th century, shortly after the Wright brothers made history at Kitty Hawk. One of the earliest recorded air cargo disasters occurred in 1919, when a plane carrying mail and a load of highly flammable film caught fire and crashed, highlighting the need for some kind of regulation. The formation of IATA in 1945 marked a turning point, along with ICAO, in developing a standardized set of DGR. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What exactly constitutes dangerous goods in the context of aviation? It's not as simple as just being a bit spicy or carrying a pair of really pointy scissors. DGR classifies dangerous goods into 9 main categories, each representing a different type of hazard. First up we have, because of course we do. This category is pretty self-explanatory and includes things like fireworks, ammunition, and anything else with a tendency to go boom with a bit too much enthusiasm. Next, we have think anything flammable like propane or butane, or things that might suffocate you because they displace oxygen. Then there are, which are the real party starters, fuels, paints, solvents, you name it. If it can catch fire easily, it's probably in this category. On the other hand, are a bit more laid back. Okay, so now we know what dangerous goods are, but who exactly is responsible for making sure they're shipped safely? The answer, unsurprisingly, is a whole bunch of people. DGR applies to anyone involved in the process of transporting dangerous goods by air, and I mean, we're talking manufacturers, shippers, freight forwarders, airlines, ground handling agents, and even passengers to a certain extent. Manufacturers have a responsibility to classify them correctly, package them appropriately, and provide all the necessary documentation. Shippers need to be aware of the regulations, choose the right packaging, and make sure their shipments are properly labeled and documented. Freight forwarders act as intermediaries, organizing the transport of goods and ensuring compliance with DGR throughout the supply chain. Airlines, of course, play a crucial role. They're responsible for accepting, handling, loading, and transporting dangerous goods safely on their aircraft. Now, for the part you've all been waiting for, the forbidden items. DGR has a whole section dedicated to things that are absolutely positively allowed on an aircraft, no matter how much you plead with the check-in staff. These are generally items that are considered too dangerous to transport by air under any circumstances, even with the most stringent safety precautions. At the top of the no-fly list are explosives. Dynamite, fireworks, flares, basically anything with a tendency to detonate unexpectedly is a big no-no. Next up are highly flammable substances like gasoline, lighter fluid, and certain types of adhesives. These can easily ignite and pose a serious fire risk on board an aircraft. Then there are toxic and infectious substances. Poisonous chemicals, biological agents, and infectious materials are all strictly prohibited. Now that we know can be dangerous, let's look at those dangers are categorized. Remember the 9 classes of dangerous goods? Each class has its own set of rules and regulations, and understanding these classifications is crucial for anyone involved in handling these materials. These are the big baddies, the ones with the most potential for a very bad day. Subclasses within this group distinguish between mass explosion hazards, think detonating cord, and things that might just project fragments, like certain types of flares. This class is all about what happens when things turn gaseous. Flammable gases like propane are a concern, as are non-flammable, non-toxic gases that can displace oxygen. Then there are toxic gases which pose a risk of poisoning. If it flows and burns easily, it's probably in this category. So you've got your dangerous goods all classified and labelled. Now what? Well, you can't just chuck them in a cardboard box and hope for the best. Packing dangerous goods for air transport is a science and an art form, some might say, unto itself. The goal is to contain the hazard, prevent leaks and spills, and ensure that the goods arrive at their destination safely and without incident. The type of packaging required depends on the class and quantity of the dangerous goods being transported. For some items, a simple fiberboard box with the proper markings might suffice. Now, let's delve deeper into the world of packaging specifications. For certain types of dangerous goods, particularly those that pose a significant hazard, DGR requires the use of UN-certified packaging. This means the packaging has undergone rigorous testing to ensure it can withstand the stresses and strains of air transport without failing. UN packaging is categorized based on its construction and the type of dangerous goods it's intended to carry. You've got your drums, your boxes, your bags, your jerrycans, each designed and tested to specific standards. These standards cover everything from the thickness of the material to the type of closures used. One crucial aspect of UN packaging is its performance testing. To obtain UN certification, packaging must pass a series of drop tests, stacking tests, and penetration tests to simulate the rough handling it might encounter during transport. Paperwork. The bane of existence for some, the comforting embrace of order for others. In the world of DGR, it's a non-negotiable necessity. Proper documentation is essential for ensuring the safe and compliant transport of dangerous goods. It provides a paper trail, or more accurately, a digital trail these days, that allows everyone involved in the process to understand what they're dealing with and take the necessary precautions. The most important document is the shipper's declaration for dangerous goods. This document, signed by the shipper, declares that the dangerous goods being transported are correctly classified, packaged, labeled, and marked in accordance with DGR regulations. We've talked about classifying, packaging, and documenting dangerous goods. But what about the actual physical handling of these materials? From the moment they leave the manufacturer's warehouse to the time they're loaded onto the aircraft, dangerous goods need to be treated with the utmost care and attention. Proper storage is paramount. Dangerous goods should be stored in designated areas that are well ventilated, secure, and protected from the elements. Incompatible materials should be separated to prevent dangerous reactions in case of leaks or spills. Think of it like a high-stakes game of Tetris, where the blocks can explode if you put them in the wrong place. When it comes to loading and unloading, things get even more critical. So, there you have it, a whirlwind tour of the world of dangerous goods regulations in aviation. It's a complex and ever-evolving field, but it's one that's absolutely essential for keeping air transport safe and efficient. From the chemicals that go into our medicines to the batteries that power our devices, dangerous goods play a vital role in our lives, and it's up to everyone involved in the supply chain to ensure they're transported safely and responsibly. As we've seen, DGR is about far more than just slapping a label on a box and hoping for the best. It's about understanding the hazards, following the rules, and always putting safety first. It's about recognizing that even seemingly innocuous items can pose a risk if not handled properly. And it's about working together, manufacturers, shippers, airlines, and passengers, to keep the skies safe for everyone. So next time you're at the airport, take a moment to appreciate the hidden world of DGR that's working behind the scenes to get you and your belongings to your destination safely.